Okay, so it says we're live, but are we live? Let me check down on the phone over there. Still got a blank screen over there. But who knows? There's always that little bit of a delay. Yeah, there we go. All right. So, today I've got to open up for you the Deluxe Theatrical Edition. You know what that means? That means it was overpriced. But not in this case. Not in this case. This time, this was one that I received as a gift. So I did not pay a dime for it. It was a very generous gift from Captain Have Fun. So hopefully he managed to see this video. I'm very excited to open this up. I'm very grateful to him for sending this to me. I very much appreciate it. At the time when these figures went up on pre-sale or pre-order or whatever, I could only afford to get so many at the time because, you know, going through a little bit of a rough patch financially. So I got Catwoman and I got the Penguin, but I wasn't able to get any of the other ones. And he's like, "Hey, I got an extra Batman if you want it." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." And he just gave it to me as a gift, so that was very generous of him. I very much appreciate it. Toy Bonia, Bonia, am I saying that right? Says, "Hello, I'm your new subscriber." Well, hello to you too. All right. Thank you for joining the show. So yeah, this is Michael Keaton as Batman, as he appeared in Batman Returns. You can see there. It's got that sort of sandblasted Batman, or snow blasted. I don't know why I'm saying sand. Batman Returns logo on there. They probably used salt when they actually shot this because it doesn't melt as easily as actual snow. But this was one of the teaser posters for the movie, and an image that we saw on a lot of the artwork, merchandise, things like that. Now, in the Kenner packages, you just had a Batman emblem with a white oval behind it rather than the yellow oval. They didn't really bother with the whole snow blowing all over the place. But you still saw this on a lot of merchandise and stuff like this. And then I think you mean Toy Bonia. Yeah, that's I'm trying to say it right. Am I pronouncing it right? That's what I'm asking. Am I pronouncing it right? So but yeah, so and then we got on the back here, this was the actual release poster. I had this one from the comic book store. It was theatrical size, but it was only one-sided, and it's got that kind of metallic blue sort of foil printing on it, like the like the theatrical. That's my channel name, Alan. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm asking. So, but am I pronouncing it right? Am I pronouncing it right? I'm going to assume that I'm pronouncing it right since you haven't corrected my pronunciation. So yeah, I'll check it out at some point. So anyway, let's go ahead and open this up. I'm looking forward to having a look-see at him. So I do have him and Catwoman and Penguin. Unfortunately, was not able to get Max Shrek or the Penguin Commandos or the Penguin's Duck, which I did really want the Penguin's Duck. I'd said at the time this will be the most useless thing I ever spend money on, but wound up not getting it. Maybe at some point I'll be able to get one. I don't know. We'll see. What's your channel name? It's still just Alan Belk. I wasn't too creative about it. I just named it after myself. When I started this channel, I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it, and then it wound up becoming a channel where I open up action figures. So, and who knows, I might wind up doing some other stuff with it later. But for now, I pretty much just open action figures. But there are some other videos where I talk about some other stuff. So I don't know when in the future I'll get around to doing that again. So he's got, it looks like 2 extra hands and the grappling hook gun and the batarang. So I'm going to take these hands out and then we'll have a look at those. It looks like on the figure, he's got 2 solid fists. And if I had half a brain, if I'd have thought about this at all before I brought this over here, I would have got the Batman Return. I'm not Batman. This is the Batman Returns figure. I would have brought the 1989 Batman figure over here with me because I suspect they share some parts. I don't know for certain, but I suspect that they share some parts. And really, they shouldn't. I don't think share any parts because Batman Returns and 1989 Batman suits are different enough. I'm just gonna cut the tape here for this Batarang. I don't know if he even uses a Batarang of this type in the movie. I don't remember. I do remember that he had a newer type of Batarang where it had the little touch screen on there, so he was able to. It was like a remote control, I guess, Batarang. He was able to program into it before he threw it, and that just kind of seemed like, nah, Batman should just throw his Batarang. I never really cared for that. Sean Franklin is here, and he says hi. Hi, Sean Franklin. So there's the 1989 style Batarang, and we do see him use this grappling hook launcher in the movie. He uses it against that one clown that's got the taser up against Selina Kyle. And he fires it into the rock next to him, and the clown's like, haha, you missed. And then Batman pulls the chunk of masonry loose and smacks old boy upside the back of the head with it. That was pretty cool. I like that bit. And then Selina's flirting with Batman, and he's just completely oblivious. And I don't think I ever related to Batman more in my entire life. Like afterwards, my friend's like, dude, she's flirting with you. What? Huh? What are you talking about? All right, so now we got Batman himself out of the package. Sean Franklin says, do you think Alien Earth, I guess he means what do you mean, or what do you think of Alien Earth Season 2? I haven't seen Alien Earth Season 1, so I don't think of it much, honestly. Unfortunately, I probably need to watch that. I heard good things about it. So yeah, I think the arms and the he doesn't have plates on his arms, so maybe those aren't from the I want to say the 1989 Batman had plates on his arms. Why doesn't he have plates on his arms? He should have plates on his arms. And the boots. This is the thing where I'm like, these are 1989 Batman boots. If you look at the way that the armor plating here is with those, where it's like an armor plate with like ridges over it. You see what I'm talking about? That's a 1989 Batman boot. The 1992, the Batman Returns boots were differently. They just kind of had grooves in them. So that's different. But I do believe that the 1992 Bat boots were built from the Nike sneakers, the Air Jordans, like the 1989 ones were. So the head sculpt I really like, and they did a much better job with the head sculpt on this one, I think, than they did with the 1989 Batman figure. And he does look, not only does he look more like Michael Keaton, but I think they did a better job with just the shape of the cowl in general. Whereas I kind of felt like the neck was a little too narrow on the 1989 figure. And this one, it has that right sort of where the neck is kind of flush with the head. Now, it does have an articulation here where the head can turn, which, of course, Batman famously could not turn his head in those movies. To which I say, Batman doesn't need to turn his head. Like, he was still able to punch that guy behind him without turning his head. He knew he was there. So, Batman doesn't need to turn his head. But, yeah, I do think that maybe the upper arms here, I want to say, like I said, I want to say they did have the plates. I don't remember now. Now I'm drawing a blank. I really wish I'd have brought that 1989 figure over here with me. But they did a better job with the cowl. They did a better job with the emblem, I think. At least they actually have the black around the edge of the emblem on this one, unlike some of the 1989 Batman figures. I'm pretty sure the trunks are reused from the 1989 figure, which, again, the trunks were different in the 1989 suit because they were more incorporated in with the legs. And it looks like it's got, like the line. I don't know if it'll come up on the camera. It looks like it's got the line down the middle of the legs. But I don't know. I don't remember if the 1989 suit had that one. Man, I really wish I'd brought this one over here with me. But the belt was the one thing that was kind of the same on the 1989 suit and the Batman Returns suit. And you can see they've got it painted with that gold paint. Like they tend to paint Batman's belt gold anytime they do one of these Michael Keaton type Batman figures, even though I don't think it was gold. I think it was just kind of a slightly metallic yellow, which I'm being particular when I say that, but I don't think most people would split hairs on it the same way that I would, but yeah, I'll split hairs on it. One thing that kind of disappoints me about this one is I feel like his cape is a little on the small side. Now he does have a wired cape, and that's good, but you can see like this is about as far as it spreads out, and I would have rather like it was shaped more like how it was shaped actually in these movies, where it's like it's like a full circle with kind of a wedge taken out of it, almost kind of like Pac-Man, and that way it would be able to get the full spread. I could be able to pose him with the cape all spread out. They've made McFarlane's made 3 Michael Keaton Batman figures, and none of them had a perfect cape. Like I think the single carded 1989 figure cape would have been great if it was a wired cape instead of like they tried to do that thing with the tonfas that stick into it so that he can hold the cape up that way. And I think that was overthinking it. I think they should have just made it a wired cape. And everybody would have been happy with that. And this one actually does have a wired cape, but it's just a little on the small side. And you can see they've got that kind of shiny fabric there. It's not like the original cape was made out of latex and had kind of a leathery texture to it. But personally, I kind of don't trust pleather type material because it tends to flake. So I'd probably rather have this, even though it's kind of chintzy material, honestly. I think I'd probably rather have this because at least it's still going to be shiny like 20 years from now. It's not going to flake off if I have to put this guy into storage or whatever. I had heard some people say they didn't like the Michael Keaton likeness on this figure, but I think the Michael Keaton likeness is pretty good. It's kind of weird how like this head though, it seems like it's ball jointed, but it doesn't really want to seem to tilt from side to side or back and forth very much, but it does turn from left to right. It does turn all the way around as far as that goes. So I don't know. It's a nice head though. They did a good job with it. But Ed Kano, is Ed Kano? Am I saying that right? Says yellow, my favorite Batman logo. Yeah, like I honestly I don't think that I necessarily have a preference between say like the just plain black emblem with no oval or the one with the oval. But I will say that these days, like it's kind of one of those things where like absence makes the heart grow fonder. So I think have a little bit more of an affection for the yellow emblem. Now, if they brought back the yellow emblem and it was on just everything for a while, I might start to miss the plain black bat. But I think they're both good emblems. I really like I think out of all the live action Batman emblems, I will say this one is probably my favorite. I really like the shape of the Batman Returns logo, and I don't know what it is. I think it's maybe that the scallops are a little more elongated, so it's a really nice look. Now, Bob Ringwood, who is the costume designer on the first 4 live action Batman films, he did, as I said, make some changes to Batman's costume on this one. You can see that like it almost has like more of a mechanical look to it, where like the abs are kind of like obviously armored plates. It doesn't have that look of the 1989 suit where like it was trying to actually look like muscular abs. It doesn't really kind of make any pretensions about being anything other than armor. And that was the only time that that they did that with the main bat suit. Uh, Kilmer had the Panther suit, which was much more like the 1989 suit, and Clooney had his own version of the Panther suit, which again was much more similar. And then they both had ones that were kind of more sort of Art Deco-y looking. But I kind of feel like that this design for Batman's suit, and I'm not somebody who really cares for overly armored bat suits personally, but I kind of feel like it's appropriate for this particular movie, since I kind of feel like Batman Returns is kind of I'll probably talk more about this in some of the other episodes, but I kind of feel like it's kind of a stealth remake of the old silent movie Metropolis. And whereas I feel like Catwoman is kind of more the Maria slash Machine Mensch character. I kind of feel like they incorporated elements of that into Batman, where he has a more robotic looking suit. And when I say it's a stealth remake of Metropolis, it doesn't really follow the plot necessarily, but there are some of the same themes to it. But in terms of the visuals, Batman Returns takes a lot from Metropolis. Now, Batman 1989 took a lot from Metropolis too, but mostly in terms of like the architecture of Gotham City. Like when Anton Furst was doing his designs for Gotham in the 1989 Batman movie, he did take a lot of influence from the design of the city and Metropolis. But I kind of felt like elements of the robot from Metropolis made it their way into both the visual appearance of Catwoman and the visual appearance of Batman in this movie. So the robot in Metropolis was also one of the big influences for the design of C-3PO. So very influential design there. You can go ahead and Google that if you're not familiar with it. Just look up Metropolis robot, and you should see what she looks like. But yeah, Catwoman is kind of like the Maria character in some ways in that movie, both the robot version and the actual human version. But I'll probably discuss that a little bit more when I open up the Catwoman figure. But yeah, like Tim Burton's always had kind of like this expressionistic silent movie type of aesthetic to his own movies, and I kind of feel like Batman Returns is very much Metropolis inspired. So let's go ahead and talk about his articulation. I already went over the articulation in the neck, and like I said, the head kind of rotates, and I think I kind of loosened it up so you can see it kind of move back and forth that way, and not a whole lot of movement from side to side as far as that goes, but it does rotate all the way around. Then the arms rotate all the way around the shoulders. Batman's arms raise up to the side about that far. He's got a bicep swivel, so the bicep does rotate all the way around. And he's got double jointed elbows. There's the range of motion you get at the elbows. Good range of motion there. Ed Cano says, when I was a kid, my mom brought home the Batmobile and Batwing she found at the thrift store. Batwing was huge, that I remember, and had a trigger at the bottom that functions the cutters from the tip of the Batwing. Yeah, that sounds to me like the Toy Biz Batwing. I had that one. I really liked it. The one thing that I say that I have as a criticism on that is the canopy, the clasp that holds the canopy on is very delicate, and it's very difficult to find one of those these days where like the canopy is intact. And then says, sadly, don't remember what happened to my childhood toys. Well, that tends to happen. I have a lot of my toys just kind of vanished, disappeared. I don't know. Maybe your parents threw them out without you knowing about it. Maybe that's what happened to a lot of my stuff. Who knows? He's got so much junk and clutter, and he doesn't even play with this stuff anymore. Yeah. Ed says mine didn't have the canopy even at the time. Yeah, well, that makes sense because it was at a thrift store. That doesn't really surprise me, unfortunately. But where was I as far as the articulation goes? Oh, yeah, he's got the cool Mcfarlane wrist articulations. The wrist rotates all the way around, both where the wrist meets the forearm and where the forearm meets the hand. And you can see that you can pretty much pose this any which way you want. let's go ahead and pull this fist hand off of here. And I'm going to replace it with this hand, which is meant to hold an accessory. And then we can go ahead and have him hold the accessories. So let's do the Batarang first, since that's the easier one to do. And like I said, I don't remember him ever using this Batarang. This is the 1989 Batarang. I don't remember him ever using this Batarang in Batman Returns, and I could be mistaken about that. But as I said before, I actually much prefer... Ooh, I popped his head off. It looks like his head just kind of fits into a little plug there. So it's not... I don't think... it's not broken. It just came off. But yeah, like, I don't think that they used this Batarang. Benjamin Ursa Major 420 is here and says, cool room. Well, thank you. I do like this section of it, even though my couch is a little cluttered right now. I always say my couch is cluttered, and I always say I need to clean off my couch, and I never do. But yeah, like, even though this is not, like I said, I don't remember him ever using this Batarang in the movie. It's not the Batarang that I remember him using in Batman Returns at all. I do prefer this one over the Batarang that they had in Batman Returns, so I'm not going to complain about it. I'm just pointing it out. This is not a complaint; it's an observation. So, and while I'm at it, let's go ahead and put the grappling hook gun in there. So he does not come with as many accessories as the 1989 Batman figure did, but again, most of those accessories that the 1989 Batman figure came with were exclusive to, they were accessories that he used in that particular movie. And most of those did not get reused in Batman Returns. In fact, like I said, I'm pretty sure that Batarang wasn't in Batman Returns. But they probably felt like they needed to give him a Batarang. They didn't want to bother to mold a new one. So that's what you get. And he does look really cool with the grappling hook gun. I really like that. All right. So let's get back to the articulation, since we're done talking about that now. Now, Batman has right where the rib cage would meet the abs, he's got an articulation, and that gives us some back and forth movement, some front to back movement, and then that should rotate. Technically, should rotate all the way around, but it does seem like it's going to be kind of difficult to get it to move. And why would you want to get that to move all the way around anyway? That's fine. And then the waist rotates all the way around. And, that's got a little bit of side-to-side, back and forth movement, too. So he's got some great torso articulation. So far, I'm really impressed with the articulation on this figure. The only place where it's really lacking articulation is the neck. And like I said, they probably gave him more neck articulation than you really need to give a Michael Keaton Batman figure, since he can't move his neck anyway. Benjamin Ursa Major says, hopefully they make those neon biker bad guys. Those always look cool to me. Well, any figure they can make from any of the Michael Keaton Batman movies, I would like to have. Make Commissioner Gordon, Alexander Knox, Carl Grissom. I don't care. Make any kind of figure from those movies you want. Make the Joker's thugs. Make the Red Triangle Circus Gang. I would take a Selina Kyle figure with a coffee pot. Like, I would buy that. Like, whatever. Like, Michael Keaton as Bruce Wayne. We need a Bruce Wayne figure. We do have Alfred, which technically is, the Batman Forever version of Alfred, but it's the same actor, so we can still use him with our 1989 Batman and our Batman Returns Batman. It still works. Batman can kick up about that far, so he's got a pretty good range of motion as far as kicking up, although it did kind of stretch his trunks out a little bit, so you probably don't want to leave it in that pose too much. And it does have a little bit of a wobble there, but not a whole lot. And then he's got double jointed knees. That's about the range of motion we get at the knees. Bobby Wald says, when are we going to get the Batman figure with the fold out ice skates and the Bat Express card? Well, I mean, they already did the George Clooney Batman, and he didn't come with any of that stuff. So they missed an opportunity, didn't they? Ed Cano says Selina Kyle with her cats would be awesome. I would buy any action figure that they make of Michelle Pfeiffer in the role of Selena Kyle / Catwoman. And so far, we've got the, obviously the first one you would want to put out anyway would be kind of like the default Catwoman figure. So, and she looks really cool. They did a really great job with all these figures from what I can tell so far. So I'm looking forward to opening her up. So she's going to be, next episode, I'm going to open up the Penguin, and then I'm going to do Catwoman after that. So where was I? I was talking about articulation. So he's got the cool ankle articulation like Mcfarlane figures do, where it rotates all the way around where the ankle meets the shin and where the ankle meets the foot. Although it does seem like this one's maybe a little gummy on mine. But we can fix that later with the hairdryer. Yeah, these seem like they're kind of gummy. I don't know if it's stuck necessarily or if it's just because it's bumping up against the little armor piece that's at the front. But then his foot can point down all the way that far. It can point up all the way that far. So the armor piece doesn't seem to interfere too much with that, but it does a little bit. I mean, that's just going to happen. And then he's got toe articulation just to show off. So that's pretty much it as far as the articulation goes on this guy. I think it's pretty good articulation. This is a great figure, and they did a great job with it. Like I said, my one criticism of it is I wish they had made this cape a little wider and had it spread out a little bit more. Ed Cano says, bat nipples. Yeah, not yet. No, they hadn't gotten into bat nipples yet. That was a Joel Schumacher thing. But if you really want to figure with some bat nipples, that George Clooney one, it does have them. So Benjamin Ursa Major says, I've been hearing about the hairdryer trick. Is that to loosen up stiff parts, I imagine? Yeah, that's something that I do fairly frequently. You could also use warm water. What I would do if I was going to use water is heat the water up to boiling and then take the boiling water off the heat. Don't put the figure in while the water is boiling, like while it's actually on the burner, and just hold it in there for maybe 30 seconds and see if that does the trick. I like to use the hairdryer a little bit more because then I don't have to worry about water dripping off of everything. I don't have to wait for the figure to dry off before I put them back on my shelf or whatever. It's just a little more convenient. But yeah, just hit whatever it is with the hairdryer for 30 seconds and hopefully that should loosen up. Worst case scenario, sometimes I have to actually remove the piece, like might actually have to take the foot off or something like that because there's just paint all clogged up in there. But usually if you take it off and put it back on, that'll fix it too. But yeah, the hairdryer is I find my preferred method. I find it to be the best method. That's just me. But anyway, they did a really great job with this figure, and I'm really happy with how he turned out. Other than the whole cape thing, like I said, they could have made his cape a little wider, but unfortunately did not. I don't know how much money you're saving on making the capes too small, but it's not worth it. And the funny thing to me is like his cape is just kind of too short in general. Like Michael Keaton's cape should be longer than that. That's like Robert Pattinson levels of short. Ugh. Well, whereas oddly enough, if you think back to when I unboxed the Adam West Batman figure, and again, Adam West Batman cape should be fairly short. That's about an Adam West length, honestly. But the Adam West Batman's cape was way too long, and even that one wasn't wide enough to spread out all the way. Like I said, it needs to be that kind of like the pie or cake with a wedge taken out of it, that kind of Pac-Man sort of shape. That's what the cape really needs to be shaped like. And if you just make it where it's just the wedge taken out of the pie, then you don't have enough to spread out. So, oh well, what are you gonna do about it now? So, if you want a wider cape, I'm sure somebody makes one on eBay or Etsy or something like that. I always see people selling Batman capes from Mcfarlane figures that are larger and wider and whatnot. So I'll go ahead and get him into a cool pose for the thumbnail I'm about to take. It's almost time for me to go, I think. Yeah, it's 7 o'clock. I need to get going. Anyway, that's it for this figure. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure that you like and subscribe and all the fun YouTube stuff down below. Ed Cano says he's subbed. So why wouldn't you want to be subbed as well? Like, you'd be in good company that way. A lot of cool people are subbed to my channel. So, but yeah, do make sure that you like and subscribe. Mainly because YouTube likes it when I say to like and subscribe. I think they like it when people actually do like and subscribe too, but it helps with the algorithm when I say like and subscribe. So I like to say like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. I like it when you leave comments. So Benjamin says, so I did see you on the next one. I just saw this one live. Yeah. Well, don't worry. We're going to have another episode soon. Probably tomorrow. Mauro Bastiani. Bastian? Am I saying it right? Dude, you live in the trash. Where's the garbage everywhere? Yeah, I was just talking about that. How I got all this clutter here that I got to get cleaned up. There's all these boxes because I'm not gonna throw out the Super 7 Ninja Turtle boxes. I'm gonna keep those, but I haven't really found a good place to put them yet either. So, and then I've got a lot of boxes here of stuff that I haven't opened up yet, just stacked all around me. Because this is where I sit when I open up my action figures. So it tends to get a little cluttered. Not just from the empty boxes, but from the boxes that I haven't opened, and from a whole lot of stuff that I've just got kind of stacked around here. So yeah, it's. But like I said, I really only sit over here when I open up my action figures anyway, so it's not like that's that big a deal. I wish I could say the rest of my room wasn't as cluttered, but. Yep, in Caracas, you get an A for effort on the surname. Well, good, excellent. Bobby Wald says, you got to make a fort with all those empty boxes. I feel like I got enough at this point. A lot of these are going to go into the recycling. I know this one here is technically not an empty box, the Casey Jones one. That one I'm going to wind up hanging up on my wall. So, because I do that with most of my NECA boxes. So, but yeah, we just got a whole lot of stuff here. We got those are cool figures. No trash I see, says Ed Cano. Well, yeah, some of them, like I said, are just still stuff that I haven't opened up yet. You know what? I almost ended the episode without taking the trading card out. Is that your basement? Says Mauro, you need a map. So let's go ahead and get this trading card off of here, but it really does not want to come loose from the packaging. There is some really nice artwork on the back here, which I'm guessing is stuff that came out of the old style guide. You got the Batmobile disassembling to become the Bat Missile there. And we didn't talk about the trading card stand, or the figure stand either. The trading card or the figure stand. So here we've got a black figure stand with what appears to be a white DC logo on it. And I kind of feel like that fits in well with the aesthetic of this movie. We already talked about how the Kenner figures had a black and white Batman emblem on there. And here we got a black and white stand. So it kind of makes sense. Here's what the back of the trading card looks like. Here's what the front of the trading card looks like, where it's just the same poster image we got. These are all going to be the same trading card, aren't they? I mean, it's going to have probably different at the top where it says Batman and it has a picture of his face. But here's what the back says. I'll go ahead and read it, but there's not a lot to it. The sequel to Batman pits the Caped Crusader against his most fiendish opponents yet, the evil Penguin and the sinuous and mysterious Catwoman. Now, you know which one's my favorite. It's Catwoman. Yeah. But that's a lame bio. It's not much of a bio at all. It's definitely more of just a blurb about the movie. Mauro says, I bought the 1989 Mcfarlane Batmobile and Bat Keaton. Love it. Yeah, I opened that up myself a while back, and it's one of my favorite things Mcfarlane ever made. I got the 1989 Batmobile and the Batman Forever Batmobile. I'd like to get some of the other ones that they made. Particularly, I would like to try to get the 1966 one, because for me, my favorite Batmobiles are the 1966 Batmobile and the 1989 Batmobile. I kind of have a thing where like I have a hard time picking between those two, because they those are like my two favorites. And yeah, there's been some cool Batmobiles since. Like I said, I got some fondness for the Batman Forever one. I got some fondness for the Batman v Superman version, but those are my two favorites. I can't pick between those two. Benjamin Ursa Major asks, is there another movie being announced or a toy line for Batman? I don't know. I mean, they're supposedly doing a sequel to the Robert Pattinson Batman movie, but I'm not interested in that. I didn't even like the first one. Supposedly James Gunn was supposed to do a Batman movie, but now he's like, oh, we're going to wait until The Batman Part 3 comes out. And it's like, okay, so why can't I just get my Ben Affleck Batman movie? That's what I really want. Bobby Wald says, I was looking forward to seeing Billy D. Williams as Two-Face. I was too. And in fact, before Billy D. Williams was even cast as Two-Face, I remember reading an interview with screenwriter Sam Hamm in Comic Scene magazine, where he was talking about the process of writing the Batman movie. And he mentioned that Harvey Dent was a character in the movie. And I'm like, oh, if Harvey Dent's in it, that means that he's going to become Two-Face eventually. And I kind of figured, oh, when they do Batman 2, the villain should be Two-Face. That would be awesome. But they wound up doing Penguin and Catwoman instead. Oh, well. Yeah, they eventually got around to doing Two-Face, but by then it was Joel Schumacher, and he decided he'd rather have Tommy Lee Jones instead. So, oh, well, unfortunate. They should do an action figure of Billy D. Williams as Two-Face, though, because they did do him in the comic book. So I figured they could do an action figure based on the comic book version. That'd be fine. Mauro says, I got it here from a local vendor. Love the Kilmer one, Batman v Superman. Yes, make the Batfleck solo movie. Absolutely, my friend. Anyway, as much as I enjoyed this episode, I got to end it here because I got to go start getting ready for work. It's almost time for me. I got to go to work. So, I'd be remiss if I'm talking about Michael Keaton and I didn't say the line like that. But that's not it for Batman Returns. We still got 2 more Batman Returns figures to open up. I wish I had more, but oh well. At least I got what I feel like are the most important ones, because I got Penguin and Catwoman, and I got this one. Again, shout out to Captain Have Fun for sending this to me. I very much appreciate that, because otherwise I wouldn't have even had him to open up. But fantastic figure. Very happy with how it turned out. I'm not sure what I'm going to do after I finish up Batman Returns. I might go ahead and open up this Batgirl figure since I'm doing Batman stuff anyway. And I might move on to other DC stuff. I might move on to some other Masters of the Universe stuff. Oh, you want me to say that line? Bobby Wald wants me to say that line. Now you want to get nuts? Come on. Let's get nuts. Yeah, that is a great line. I'm pretty sure Keaton improvised that line. I'm pretty sure that was not in the script. I'd seen somewhere recently where somebody said that line was cringe and it doesn't match up with Batman's character at all. Well, maybe not the comic book version of Batman, but it worked just fine in the movie. Like, you got to understand there's different versions of Batman. And Keaton's version of Batman was, I think, at least a little bit less mentally stable than most versions. So yeah, he absolutely would want to get nuts. I always say that the Michael Keaton Batman is the 1939 Batman. This is what Batman was if you read those earliest Detective Comics. And I don't think he was the most mentally or emotionally stable person in those comics. Remember that Batman was a cold-blooded killer too. Like he was often the bad guys. He would punch a guy over a rail into a vat of acid and not even like shed a tear over it. Fitting in for his kind. That's in the first appearance. And then you got, Batman breaking the neck of a Cossack by kicking him in the neck. And things like, everybody always points out like him shooting at the monster men with a machine gun. But those were inhuman characters. Shooting the vampire with the silver bullets. Those weren't human characters. Those were monsters. But he killed some humans too. He just sat there and watched Dr. Death apparently burned to death and was smiling about it. Of course, Dr. Death survived. He didn't actually die, but Batman didn't know that. Batman was stone cold in those early issues. And I kind of think my headcanon is the real reason that Batman stopped killing people was because he adopted Robin and didn't want to be a bad influence on this kid that now was his responsibility. I kind of feel like Robin made Batman reflect and kind of straighten up in a lot of ways that Batman might have wound up becoming just like a monster if he hadn't had Robin to kind of rein him in as far as that, because then he had to be a good influence to Robin. So, but he didn't have a Robin yet in these movies, did he? You notice how if you're looking at all four of those first Batman movies as being in the same continuity, that he's stuffing dynamite down a guy's pants in the first movie, and then by the end of it, he's trying to convince Selina not to kill Max Schreck, and it's certainly not to protect Max Schreck. It's because he cares about Selina. He doesn't want to see Selina go down this dark path that he's already started down. And maybe he's reflecting on how Selina took the wrong path when he's trying to convince Dick Grayson that it's the wrong path to want to kill Two-Face. And even in that movie, Batman himself winds up killing Two-Face, but he prevents Robin from doing it. And he doesn't kill anybody in Batman and Robin. So again, maybe that's why. Maybe that's the arc that Batman has as a character if you look at those four movies as being all set in the same continuity. Why can't Robin be like young Boba Fett? Get him, Dad! Well, Boba Fett was a villain too, wasn't he? I mean, he was certainly a big villain when I was playing with Star Wars action figures as a kid. He's barely in the second and third movie, and then he dies in an embarrassing way. But man, I always say Boba Fett, we really think that Boba Fett was a cool character, not because of anything he did in Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi, but because of all the adventures we had with him in our backyards and in our living rooms. And that's why we love Boba Fett, is because of all those adventures that we had with him, not necessarily what was done with him in the movies, which they could have done a better job with him in the movies. Let's be honest. But yeah, I did kind of get kind of almost like an evil Batman and Robin feel out of episode 2 when he had Django and Boba running around, and that part where he's deploying the sonic mines against Obi-Wan when Obi-Wan's chasing after him, and Django is in the Slave One, and yes, it's the Slave One. That's the name of the ship. And he's dropping those sonic mines after Obi-Wan, and it's like just Ben Burt going nuts with the sound effect there. But little Boba Fett there has a little cackle like that when his dad is like dropping these mines, and I'm like, I love that bit. That's so cool to me. And it's kind of funny to think that Jango Fett, well, his Mandalorian armor was kind of blue and gray, wasn't it? Huh? Blue and gray? Yeah? You see where I'm going with this? And, Boba Fett, when he wound up repainting that Mandalorian armor, do I have a Robin around here? So, yeah, here we go. What color did colors did Boba Fett use when he was recoloring the armor for his own use? He was using green and red and yellow. I'm just saying, it's probably just a coincidence. But it happens to fit the facts, don't it? Anyway, I've done this episode a lot longer than I intended to, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it short. So make sure you like and subscribe, all that fun stuff. I'll be back on the next episode with the Penguin. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.